My name is Michael Capato. I'm a minister in Detroit. When I was a child going out to play, the only advice I got from my mom was be careful and be home before the streetlights come on. And if I was ever in need, find a police officer. They're here to protect you. I was born and raised literally 1 block north of 8 Mile, the dividing line between Detroit and the suburbs. And in the late 60s and 70s, when I was growing up, the dividing line between black and white. It never occurred to me that just across the road from me, black kids my own age weren't given the same basic advice I was. The same simple rules. Be home before dark. The police are your friends. I never realized that the litany of rules black moms gave their kids, especially their sons my own age and older, were much longer, and the repercussions for breaking them were much more serious. And that mothers are still doing it today, still looking at their sons, praying they come home, and sending them out with a long list of rules. You may have seen the video posted by 18-year-old Cameron Welch from Houston, Texas, shortly after George Floyd's death. He shared with us the list he was given. Don't put your hands in your pockets. Don't put your hoodie on.
Don't be outside with no shirt on. Check in with your people. It don't matter even if you're down the street. Don't be out too late. Don't touch anything you're not buying. Never leave the store without a receipt or a bag, even if it's just a pack of gum. Never make it look like there's an altercation between you and someone else. Never leave the house without your ID. Don't drive with a wife beater on. Don't drive with a do-rag on. Don't go out in public with neither. Don't ride with the music too loud. Don't stare at a Caucasian woman. If a cop stop you randomly and start questioning you, don't talk back. Just compromise. If you ever get pulled over, hands on the dashboard, and ask, could you get out your license and registration?
Even as I grew older, my rules changed very little. My time to be home became later, and I was told to call if I was going to be late. If I didn't heed my mom's words, I'd perhaps have my car keys taken away. Maybe I'd be grounded. Neither my mom nor I would ever think that I wouldn't be coming home. But just a few hundred yards from me, the specter of Emmett Till loomed fresh, as did visions of strange fruit swaying in the dawn's early light. And although I could still trust and turn to the police in my time of need, the badge represented entirely different things for those whose skin was darker than mine. The shelter it offered was not for them, but for those who hid behind it, as they often took out their racism with clubs and dogs and knees to the neck. The first time it hit me how wildly different our interactions, white and black, with the police occurred while I was in college. I had been elected to the College of Liberal Arts Student Senate as class president, replacing my best friend Alvin as his term ended. Alvin was African American, pre-law, a Marine Corps reservist, and like I said, the former class president who I replaced, and a kid in many ways more straight-laced and nerdier than me. We were driving one evening to a swanky riverfront restaurant where the university was hosting the incoming and outgoing class officers for dinner. There were 4 of us in the car. Alvin driving, his white female vice president next to him, me behind him, my white female vice president to my right. 4 well-dressed, clean-cut college kids driving to a school-sponsored event. Next thing we knew, we were pulled over and surrounded by more than 1 police car, their lights flashing, spotlights and flashlights blinding Alvin and the rest of us. No reason for us being pulled over was given. Driver's license were demanded and checked. Alvin was the epitome of polite respect. He was all yes sir, no sir, while we were bristling in our white privilege liberal indignation, ready to stick it to the man. All the while, Alvin was whispering to us to stay calm, be cool. Just as quickly as they surrounded us, we returned our license and left with no explanation. After a moment of stunned silence, we 3 white people began chirping like angry birds, wondering why they pulled us over to begin with. Why nicely dressed people in a nice car in a nice area of the city. Alvin turned to us and simply said, they pulled us over because they thought we were on a double date and didn't like it. Not all the police who surrounded us were white, but many have said that the thin blue line is a culture and a color all their own. Just last year, I told this very story to an African American woman, asking her about the advice she gave her male children and now grandchildren. She looked at me and said something that took the wind out of my sails. She pointed out that had the 4 of us been pulled over south of the Mason-Dixon line, the outcome could have been very different. We men could have both ended up swinging from a tree, strange fruit in our own ways, and the girls taught a lesson for commingling by those boys in blue. I was thinking of this while waiting for the verdict of Derek Chauvin's trial for murdering, and there's no other word for it, murdering George Floyd over a $20 bill. In all my cynicism, I never expected the outcome, that he would be found guilty. I expected him to get away with murder and I'd be watching cities burn once again. I don't know what the outcome of this verdict will be. The president is pushing for a bill named after George Floyd to hold the police accountable for their actions. Some of my more cynical friends say nothing will change. I pray that they're wrong. But I know one thing that won't change. That after 9 generations of mothers' worry, it will be a long time, if ever, before black mothers will simply tell their children as they walk out the door, be careful, be home by the time the streetlights come on, and if you're in need, the police are there to protect you. While we were waiting on pins and needles for the verdict to come down, in Columbus, Ohio, 15-year-old Micaiah Bryant called the police because some girls were attacking her. 20 seconds after the police arrived, the police that Micaiah Bryant called to serve and protect her shot her 4 times. Police apologists are already defending them, saying, but she had a knife. Kyle Rittenhouse, a white teenager who murdered 2 peaceful protesters, walked through a crowd afterward brandishing a rifle, was given water, and patted on the back by the police. He is still alive today. Micaiah Bryant did exactly what my mom told me to do, to call the police if she needed help. And now she's dead.